Welcome to this meeting forum. I'm Amy Squire. I'm your chairman. I take you through the agenda. The leadership team assist me. Could they be upstanding and introduce themselves, please?
Good morning everybody, I'm Terry and I deal with coordination between membership and recruitment.
Morning guys, Ben, Education Coordinator.
Good morning, Scott, your meeting secretary, dealing with all the nerdy numbers and of course that's based upon that.
Thank you all. Well, we've got 20 today, and that's when John Freeman turned up and then went away. Right, let's go on the meeting. Then we'll go in through the public. First up is the Performance League. It was the end of the month, beginning of the new month.
You're absolutely right, thank you Aidan. So October has finished, which means we can finish up the league and present all of this. I'll tell you those at the top. It probably is no surprise because you've listened to me for the last few weeks. But nevertheless, third place, 193 points scored, is Tina. Just a tiny little bit further ahead, 196 points was John Freeman. But then dunking halfway in the league, 253 points was Terry. Another good month for you, so that's terrific. You'll recall on the right hand side here, if you've got the thumbs up next to your name, it means you've scored more points than the monthly benchmark that we hope you will all achieve. There you go. Sorry. I don't do that. At the absence of that.
Right. Okay, we'll do that as it goes round. Education presentation now. Ben, thank you very much.
Well, what I thought I'd talk about today is something that's really helped me within my business and what I really pushed throughout my team in UW is the importance of setting goals and the goal setting process. Because setting goals can help you accomplish a wide range of your ambitions. Now, this could be anything, not just work related. It could be like learning a new skill. It may be some sort of education that you want to do, or maybe it could be something to do with your work, but maybe a new step in life. So no matter what the activity is, setting clear and precise goals really helps you concentrate your efforts in the right direction. So without having a process to keep you focused, then very often goals can maybe sometimes be forgotten. Maybe you run out of your time to achieve them, and sometimes your goals change. So the goals that you initially set, they actually become irrelevant. So research has shown that having a goal-setting process can really affect your behaviour, increasing your activity and your persistent effort in achieving your goals. So achieving your goals makes us all feel good. It makes you feel sort of happy you've achieved it. It really, really builds further motivation to go out and create more goals and achieve them. However, not accomplishing your goals can lead to quite frustration and sometimes lower your motivation. Now, I always say to people that obviously, for me, I would say goals are set in stone, dates are set in sand. So you can always move the dates accordingly to when you want to achieve your goal. But there are some essential skills required to help you set your goals accordingly. So they are, first of all, is planning and organisation. Now, I think these are so important because you need to plan your goal, but more importantly, you need to organise yourself on how you are going to achieve them. Secondly, self-motivation. Because if you haven't got this, then you're probably doomed to fail from the start. So have the desire that you really want to achieve this goal, and don't just say, yeah, I want that, because you're never going to go out and get it. The other one is time management. Now, we are all busy people. So we've all got our own business, our family life. I say to people, manage your diary much better. Blocking the times that supports you first. So block in maybe family time, maybe it's your recreation time, gym time. Put that in your diary first. I actually block out some things in my diary and actually will write the word something. So if somebody asks me to, are you available to do this or available to do that, I say, I'm so sorry, I've got something in the diary. So I'm not lying, but having your time properly, but manage the time that you can actually put into your goals, because otherwise you might fail. Flexibility. Having the flexibility to adapt to barriers or maybe obstacles that may come up. So having the perseverance to keep going for your goal, no matter what comes in your way, whether what obstacle, and you can carry on in the face of adversity. And finally, self-regulation. I use affirmations. So instead of saying I want to achieve, maybe say I am or I will be. And that's going to help your mindset to really help you get to achieving your goal. Now the good news is that all those skills can be learned and developed. So if you maybe haven't achieved a goal in the past that you set, maybe the problem would lie in one of those 5 things. So you can identify in which area that helped you fail, if you like, and work on that to make sure in the future you can actually really go forward and achieve the goals that you set. Thank you for listening.
Excellent, thank you, Ben. Membership matters. Terry, do you have anything for us? No? There you go. Less is more. Right. So, we are now approaching the 60-second round. As usual, I will send the business card round. You know what to do with it. Do it and get it back to me. Referrals, etc. I'll also send the stick box round. Fill it up and let's try and have a good day for referrals. We had an excellent round. It was excellent last week for referrals, wasn't it, Scott? Yeah, let's see if we can beat it this week. Right. Vince isn't with us. Our timekeeper is Paul. That's what you'll be doing. The Oscar was won by Mike. He will be listening out, and at the end of the round, he will deliver his judgment. On that basis, he will go first. So if he's got time to concentrate on everything, he will be first, and he will be followed by James. Mike, you're off.
Morning everyone. Mike Hickson from LSA Systems, based in Billericay, IT provider and the friendly face of the IT service provider for the group. This week we had an unsolicited phone call from a doctor's surgery in Hutton, kindly referred to us by Scott, who'd had some sort of security breach. They weren't really sure how serious it was, but they'd had a security breach and wondered if we could help them. So we sent out a security consultant off post haste, and we got up there and discovered that someone had opened up an email and clicked on a link which had been sent to them by an unscrupulous person. That link had spread itself throughout their network, so any emails that were going out were then embedded with a link which was spreading that to their patients and clients, and those patients and clients were sending out emails which was doing exactly the same thing. It was horrible, but luckily by the end of the day we had it reported. So if you ever hear of anything, a security breach, please give me my details.
Thanks, Mike. James is next, followed by Matt.
Morning all, James from BHK and RMK Insurance, soon to have some more initials as well, so that's interesting news for you. General insurance brokers, so we will have a go at most things. I harp on about those that come home with dirty hands, and we're still good at that, roofers, scaffolders, builders, and the rest of it. But we've got a new string to the bow, private medical insurance, whether that's for you as an individual or whether that's for you as a company covering you and your employees. We've always had one market, never pushed it because they were rubbish. Premiums weren't any good, service wasn't any good, didn't want my name attached to it. We've now got a team that have got a similar number of markets where I do general insurance. My colleague now does private medical insurance, and they've got a number of different offerings. So if you've got it on your own, if you've got it for family, if you've got it for the business, give me a shout and we'll see what we can do. I still manage it, so if the inquiry comes to me, I pass the information on, so you wouldn't have to be speaking to someone you've never seen, heard, or invested again. So yeah, James, BHK, RMK, and soon to be more. Getting it right so you can sleep soundly at night.
Right. It was worth it for the tagline. Matt, you're
So the rest
next.
of it's boring, is what you're saying.
You're followed by Jay.
Good morning everyone, Matt Barry from Blue Seraph. I am dyslexic. I'm very proud to be dyslexic. But when I was younger, I wasn't. It was massive barriers, massive stigma, and I've now realised, and a lot of people have realised, actually I benefit from being dyslexic. I'm able to think in different ways. I'm able to be more creative. I'm able to put puzzles together that people can't do. And I use this to our advantage, and so that we can gain better insight into our clients. But there's been a whole load of research done recently, and exploration of things like typography. And as designers, we've always been very snobby against Comic Sans. Everyone hates Comic Sans. But actually, did you know that Comic Sans is the most accessible font there is, especially for dyslexics? So, long live Comic Sans.
I didn't realise I was dyslexic until I was well past schooling, but I also never heard of Comic Sans as well. So. Ignorance is bliss, and Jane is next, and Hannah follows her.
Hello everybody, Jane from the Home of Deliciousness. Are there any last takers for 19th of November? That's our last afternoon tea experience of the year, and it will be delightful, and Santa's paying a visit. But I'm going to devote the rest of my time to some information. I've been invited to join the board of Visit Essex. And so now I'm privy to what's going on. And I thought you should know they've set up an Essex film office based in Chelmsford to promote filming in the county. Because look at what Poldark did for Bournemouth and so on. But there's peripheral benefits for all sorts of people. And so soon they will want to reach out, probably within a month, to anybody that could be of use. So security would be one thing. Matt, it might be that they also want locations and might be able to promote Brentwood. So Neil could get in there with catering, they definitely need that. Mike, they want technical people as well. So it's food for thought. So if anybody wants more info, I have the inn. Thank you.
She's such an influencer.
It's not
Thank you,
paper.
Jane. Hannah, you're next, and you're followed by Mike Skinner.
Good morning, Hannah O'Shea from HFO Media. One thing that I do when I take on a new client is called a spring clean, sort of just getting out all the old and putting in the new. There are points that I put in for making your bio look better. One thing that I do is called a call to action, obviously where people can find you, how can they get in touch. And I have recently found sort of a better alternative. Instead of having loads and loads of links and emails and so on and so forth, there is a platform called Linktree. And it is sort of a paid subscription, but not an arm and a leg. So you have sort of a profile, and you can have sort of to your YouTube, to your mailing list, website, your calendar, so on and so forth, which is sort of an easier way, so people aren't trying to think, oh, that's not the right link, where am I going? So it's a better alternative, makes it simple, clean, and better. So if you'd like to get in touch, please do.
Thanks very much, Hannah. Mike Skinner is next, he's followed by Ben Golding.
Morning everyone. We'll talk about a little project I've done recently using this little fellow, the little drone. So a gentleman approached me recently, and he was writing a book about our local woodlands and why it was planted in the Napoleonic times, and he wanted some images for the front cover of it. And so we went out and shot some images, excuse the terrible printing quality, but shot some images to cover the whole woodland. But one of the requests that he made was that he wanted a top-down image to cover the whole area. The issue with this is the legal flight limit for a height limit for a drone is 120 metres. And when you go to that height, the photo shows a very small section of that, maybe about a 30th of the whole woodlands. So in order to get the whole thing in, we would have had to fly at about, I think, 4,000 foot. I worked out, which you're not allowed to do basically. So what we did, got the PC, planned out an automated flying grid, and that sets off the camera at set intervals. Transferred this over to the drone controller, basically press go and let it go. And this brought about 40 images in, and then in Photoshop afterwards, stitched them all together and made one complete image of a really high resolution image of the woodland. So, yeah, basically, if you know anyone that's looking for any drone photography or videography, please tell them to get in touch.
Thank you, Mike. Ben, you're next, followed by Melissa.
Good morning, guys. Ben Gilding from Utility Warehouse. I help people save money on their essential household bills: gas, electricity, home phone, broadband, mobile phone, and boiler cover. And we offer the cashback card, which helps people get places like Sainsbury's, Boots, and Marks and Spencer's to help pay your bill for you. We have the cheapest energy available in the UK, and our bill-busting boost just got better. Because now, when homeowners take 2 services or more, they will get £100 knocked off their bill. When they take 3 services or more, that will be doubled, and they'll get £200 knocked off their bill, automatically applied to their second bill. So, this week I'm looking for people you know that want to save money, have the UK's cheapest energy available, and get £200 bill-busting boost knocks off their second bill. That's Ben Golding, Utility Warehouse.
Thank you, Ben. It's Melissa. You will be followed by Toby, and I'm minded with Hannah's call to action. Well, this will be a call to action. Let me distract you.
Good morning, everybody. Melissa Jackson, Kenway Francis, assisting companies and individuals in financial distress through mostly full insolvency procedures. One of the things that I also do is make sure that companies actually survive, or that the business actually survives, I should say. To give you an example, what we did recently is we worked with a company that had some issues. They had issues with their landlord, that built up some HMRC debt. Basically, the underlying business was working very, very well, but they were just being stifled by the historic debt and some issues with an ongoing lease. The business was actually put through a formal process. The company then put into liquidation. The director was able to buy out the business and assets, and she then set up a new company legally and compliantly with our systems, and she's continuing to run a similar type business. So if you know anybody who's suffering from those kinds of issues, please refer them to me. Thanks very much.
Toby, you're followed by Nick.
Morning, everybody. I'm often asked why motivation is important, why motivational maps are important. So let's look at the effects of low motivation on a workforce. Productivity goes down, absence rates go up, staff turnover can increase, recruitment costs can go up, outsourcing costs can go up, training costs can go up, firefighting goes up, a negative culture can develop if you've got low motivation in the workforce, reputations can suffer, customer retention can go down, can lose your market position, and can even lead to potential failure of business, and none of us want that. And of course, many of that can apply to solo entrepreneurs too. So by measuring, understanding and enhancing motivation, we can resolve and help with loads of those areas. So who do you know that would like support in that area? Who do you know that would like to be able to measure, understand and enhance the motivation in the workplace to avoid all of those things? Please put me in touch.
Thanks, Toby. And you got it in as well. Excellent. Nick Cook is next. He will be followed by Terry Meredith.
Well, good morning. My name's Nick, as you all know. I'm a structural engineer. I design buildings. This is a factory. I didn't design it, but an architect designs the building. I design the bits you can't see. So I design extensions and loft conversions, new buildings. I do a lot of structural inspections on houses people want to buy and people trying to sell. So I'm very well placed to carry out structural inspections on any building, actually. I know how they're built. I know how they should be maintained. I don't know how they go wrong. Oops, that was just but if you know anyone who wants the throes of buying a house, or just think about buying or a commercial building or a private house, I'll be very happy to take a look at it for them and talk to them about what they need to do. So if you can give them my number, ask them my card, give them my email link, my website link, that would be great. My name's Nick, Structuring.
Thanks, Nick. Terry, you're then followed by the last of the mics, to Wick Rogers.
Yeah, good morning everybody. Terry Manning, TM Law. So I had a call yesterday from a new client, and it was this is the sort of typical referral that I'd like you to listen out for. She had an accident. Good start. She had an accident in the supermarket, which is a good start, so it's not a car accident, and she'd suffered quite a serious injury, a double break of the ankle. So I inquired a bit more about it, and it turns out there was the freezer's not uncommon. Freezer's leaking water out. The supermarket hadn't combed it off, thought they'd put a mat down, we'll soak it up with a mat. And this mat was soaked up and became soggy, and she went over. So on all of those fronts, yes, is it worth pursuing? Yes, very serious injury. Are we likely to win? Yeah, pretty likely to win. And are we going to find a way of funding it, which is her concern? Yes, we are. If we can't get legal expenses insurance, then we'll probably do it on a no-win, no-pay agreement because it looks pretty good. So those are the sort of they're the characteristics that make a good personal injury claim. So it's Terry Manning, TM Law.
Yes, Terry. Mike, you're next. Followed by Stuart.
Morning, everybody. It's been an interesting week. Last weekend I discovered I'd been the victim of identity theft and somebody had gone to John Lewis with a house full of furniture for themselves. Monday I had a colonoscopy, that was fun as well. And today interest rates are going as well. It's good news. However, it's not all bad news actually. Because during this week, even though rates are going up today, most lenders have reduced their longer-term fixed rates, and in actual fact, the best rate available in the marketplace now is nationwide 10-year fixed rate. So, on a positive note, the further forward you look, the better it gets. So all you need to do is manage not to starve or freeze this winter, and then next year everything's going to be okay again. And then you can come to me for mortgages. But not before, because at the moment, things are
Right. Being that for warning. Stuart, you're next, and you're followed by Scott.
Good morning, everybody. Stuart from LG Networks. A perfect example of exactly the sort of client we're looking for contacted us this week, referred from an existing customer of ours. Been running his little business from home for a little while, and he's doing live streaming and broadcast TV for mainly actually for church services. But he's moving out of home and he's going into a little office for himself. And he calls me out and I'm live streaming, I need the best possible internet connection I can get. I've checked with BT and they can only get me basic ADSL. So I said, well, what you need is a full-on lease line, dedicated fibre optic, point-to-point, Bosch. Gave him a price for that, and he went, Jesus, right, okay. He said, I am a startup. I'm probably going to not be able to do that. I said, okay. There is a nice little solution. We actually have a small independent provider called Glide Networks who actually build fibre to the cabinet broadband in areas where BT don't. He's actually moving into one of those premises. So we'll actually be able to do him off-grid fibre to the cabinet broadband, which will that will get him started. It's a nice little intermediate step until his business is in a position where he can afford that gold standard fibre broadband, fibre lease line that he needs. So if you know anyone in a similar position, please put in touch with me, Stuart, on Networks. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Scott, you're followed by Alton.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Scott from SEO. I thought I'd try and do my 60 seconds around Halloween this week. As Mike said earlier, had a horror story call come in from a client. Scott, help. I know you don't look after my email services, we do that ourselves, but you know your stuff around email is all got probably wrong. After helping him change his passwords, I said the thing you need to do is call Mike. So that's the first loose horror story piece. The second, I spent a couple of hours yesterday with Matt. Sat next to
horrific.
sat next to hundreds of coffins and then walking through a mortuary. But it's a lovely client of mine that run a couple of, in fact, ex-members here, Herringate Wood Funeral Home. It's been a number of years since we've touched their website, but they now want to uplift, improve the brand, get Matt on the design, and really make things a bit more exciting and interesting. So,
breathe some life into it.
Breathe some life into it. Absolutely. So that's what we're going to do. That's my Harry Dog stories.
Thank you very much, Scott. Paul, you're followed by
This will be a challenge. Alright. Orderly read by Limited Communications Agency. We help businesses communicate clearly and effectively. So, a man was walking past a pub one day and he looked up and there's a sign writer outside and he's writing the name of the pub on the side of the pub. The bloke looks up and goes, "Excuse me, mate." What is it? "Excuse me, mate. You haven't left enough space between pig and whistle." Pig and whistle. Now, actually, grammatically, that's absolutely correct. Pig and whistle. But when you look at it written down, it makes no sense at all. Because, especially here, I'm going to punctuation it. And so, when you... hold on. So, part of what we do is help people translate what they're saying into stuff that's actually understandable. Probably read by those communication stages. Thank you. That's a lot of pressure.
If you'd have called it the red line, it wouldn't have been fine. Yeah, you're followed by T.
Good morning everyone, I'm Leanne, I'm the interior designer at Brooklyn Interiors. So I put the Vava room back in your room. So I help my clients create their perfect home with WOW. My designs are unique to the client's aspirations. And it's not just colour, it's a feeling, it's how it makes you feel. It works for your lifestyle and it works for you and your family. So if you need a fresh pair of eyes and you don't know where to start, give me a call. So your home is important and it's a huge asset, so let me take care of that and create a home that you love. I work with existing furniture or I can source new. So if you need any help, give me a call. Leanne at Brooklyn Interiors.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Tina, you're followed by John Hammond.
Good morning everybody, my name's Tina and my company's called Liberty Executive Services. I offer a secretarial and admin service. Now I haven't got any water, but pretend this is a lake or a little pond. And or you know someone that's a duck that's just swimming round and round and round because they don't know where to turn, whether to go into their office or arrange another appointment with a client that they've got, all sorts, or even sort out a meeting for them and location. So if you know anybody that's like a duck going round and round the pond, please pass on my details because I'll be happy to help. So that's me, Tina, Liberty Executive Services. I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm start to finish.
Thank you, Tina. John Hammond is followed by Paul Group.
Good morning, everyone. My name, as you know, I'm the electronic security person of the group. We're doing a lot of CCTV at the moment, and it used to be dead simple. We could go and buy a camera off the shelf and install it, and everyone was doing virtually the same as much. We now have to comply. I've got to read it because I forget what the acronym stands for. The National Defence Authorisation Act. So any government building now, all the cameras have to have been processed and passed by that. And that stops governments being building cameras, having little chips inside that send all the data out. And it's been found that there's a lot of cameras out there. Even some of the big manufacturers you wouldn't even think. They've bought chips from companies that have got a process built into the chip, they put it in their camera and the images are sent out. So, if you know anyone who wants a CCTV system, but make it compliant so no one else can see what you're doing, that's us, John Hammond from JFA Technology, applying the National Defence Authorisation Act to CCTV, or NDAA.
Thank you, John. Paul.
Hi, Paul Booth from Milton Keynes Sharp, certified accountants based in Brentwood. There's a £50 billion hole in the public finances, and that's going to have to be addressed partly by spending cuts, but also a big chunk of that's going to be increases in tax. So that's going to happen, maybe not announced in the next couple of weeks, maybe in the budget in March, but everyone's going to be paying more tax. So what we found is a lot of people have got certain reliefs, allowances, claims, etc. that they are entitled to. They haven't necessarily claims. So you don't have to pay more tax, you can actually pay less tax. So I'm looking for people who are not sure if they're paying the right tax or not sure if they're claiming the right allowances and reliefs. That's Paul Booth from Booth & Co. Minimize Tax.
Thank you, Paul. I've lost, but by no means least, Aidan Smart from TM Law. One of the tools of my trade is to keep up to date with the law. And on Monday, Terry and I braved it. We went up to a conference in London. I was reminded of a case relating to whether someone was self-employed or not. The element of control by an employer is a relevant factor. But in this case, the case of a lap dancer who was subject to rigorous control, she was found to be self-employed. She took an economic risk in that she had to pay the employer for the honour of privilege of lap dancing, and was paid exclusively by third parties, the punters. For those of a nerdy disposition, it was a lap dancer and not a laptop dancer. Thank you, Wolf. That's the end of the 60-second round.
So where were you reminded of this?
I went to a conference, and at the conference I was reminded of the case. And it related to Stringfellows, so just to complete the picture. Right, that's it for the 60-second round, so I will hand over to Mike.
Thank you. Okay, well, there are a number of noted 60 seconds this morning for me. I thought, Matt, your 60 seconds about dyslexia was really insightful and thought-provoking. Ben, as usual, ways of saving on energy bills is always a cheerful note. Nick, a special mention to you for the use of props. Mike Rogers, for being positive on mortgages for once. And Paul DeLue, his story about the pig and whistle. I think I've got the right number of hands in there. But for me this week, the Oscar goes to Mike Skinner. Anyone who can make technology interesting does it for me.
I think the bloke was here last week, so it was a miserable
Thanks very much, Mike, for adjudicating. Well done, Mike. It's wonderful. Okay, thanks very much for all of that. We now move on. Meeting Secretary's report. Scott.
15 referrals passed today, which is not bad. Almost £30,000 worth of business passed last month, which is also not bad. But just a reminder, don't forget to fill out the V forms and plug them in. A few faces I know in particular that need just put on that and put them in the system. We do want to try and capture everything that comes through.
Thanks very much, Scott. Right. Just remind us when the Synergy Chief meeting is for this month, Paul.
Yes, good question. It is next Tuesday. I'll send the normal reminder out. George and Dragon, 4:20 p.m. It'll be the last formal Synergy team meeting for that group for the year. Next month's one will be, we normally have a Christmas dinner and drinks for the agenda, so I'll send invitations out for that one. Anyone's welcome.
Thanks, Paul. That's the George and yeah, red line will do better. Right, let's move on to the next major part of the meeting, which of course is the 10-minute presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, so before I introduce today's speaker, just give you an update on the next few weeks' education slot speakers and 10 minutes. And there has been a bit of a swap around due to obviously a couple of members that have left and a couple of people that haven't been here for a while, so we've swapped them out. So next week, on the 10th, John Freeman is swapped around to do the 10 minutes and bits of it in the education slot. 17th of November, Stuart, we've got you for the 10 minutes, and Nick to do the education slot. On the 24th of November, Leanne will do your first 10 minutes for us. And I'll be doing the education slot that day. And then into December, then we have Jane doing the 10 minutes on the 1st of December, and Paul Booth will ask you to do the education slot that day. When it is your turn to do 10 minutes, please go to the website, get the bio sheet. Leanne, I'll talk you through how to get that and everything before. And if you can't do your 10 minutes or your head slot, please do let me know as soon as possible. I'll do my best to swap things around to accommodate you. So today's speaker did get the bio sheet to me and actually printed it off for me, because today we have Mr. Terry Mayland from TM Law. Nature Business Solicitors. Position in the company is South East. Okay, based in Whitford, but will cover the world. So, a couple of bits about Terry. An embarrassing moment that happened to him, if I can read the writing, is that dumping a race car in a gravel trap at Brands Hatch and getting told off for spreading gravel everywhere, trying to get out. Favourite band and why? ABBA. And you don't need a why. You need to go to ABBA Voyage. Movie that he recommends and why? 2 Days of Blood, because my car was in it. You'll have to watch that now so you can spot your car. And finally, best invention or discovery is synthetic petrol. So we can keep on burning it. So, okay, with that in mind, Terry, over to you.
Old school this week. No props, no fancy schmancy things and that. Just telling you what we're doing. So you all know by now, hopefully, who I am, what I do, and where I do it. If you haven't been listening. What I'd like to do today is I'd like to give you some reasons, in fact 5 reasons, to refer my company TM Law to your clients or to your acquaintances and to people you know. I'm aware that there are lots of solicitors out there. There are hundreds, probably maybe even thousands, I don't know, but there's a lot of solicitors out there, and therefore you need some reasons to make sure you're recommending us and not other people. So I'm going to give you some today, hopefully. First and perhaps the most obvious is experience. I know you'll find this very, very hard to believe, but between me and Aidan, we have got 89 years experience in the legal business, probably even longer if I even count his training days. I'm not going to tell you the split between the two because that would be rude. But so you can work it out for yourself. And experience is very important because if you take your legal matter to a firm of solicitors, very often you will find, especially the larger firms, that although you'll get a supervisor, that is someone who's officially in charge of your case, more often than not the work will be done by somebody else, and quite often a number of different people. And therefore it's really important that you have someone in the firm who's experienced, not just the supervisor, because the other people generally are learning as they go along. So in our case, you're paying for that experience of 8 and a half. And the second reason to refer us is kind of linked really into that, and it's a single point of contact. Again, at some of the larger firms, if you've got a legal matter with them, and my clients have complained about this of other firms, you won't know who you're dealing with. You try and phone and speak to someone, you've got no idea who you're going to get or who's actually handling your matter, or can you speak to them on that day, or do they know what's going on your case? So at TM Law, you'll get a single point of contact, a bit like Vince always says, doesn't it? Hopefully be here today. You get a Vince, but in our case, you get either an Aidan or a Terry, whoever's dealing with your matter. And although that's got its downsides, it is important. If you've got a single point of contact, when you contact us and ring, you know who's dealing with your matter, and we can deal with it. We know what's happening in your matter, and it works much better than if you've got a whole plethora, a whole team working on it. So that's the second reason why I think you should, or you can recommend it. The third one is legal costs. You might think that all solicitors charge the same. Well, let me tell you for sure, and Melissa will know this probably experience, they don't, by a long shot. Some solicitors charge by an hourly rate, and if you go to a city firm, it's sort of £500 or £600 an hour, Melissa, probably. Yeah. Some solicitors do, on the hourly rate business, I've discussed it with some of my clients. Some of them almost passed out at the desk. And I said to them, don't worry, I'm not going to charge it. We'll find a way of funding it. When they've heard, £200-300 an hour, they've kind of got a funny colour. So solicitors are very expensive. So some of them do fixed fees, some of them do hourly rates. But what we do at TM Law is we do what's best for you. And we do that for two reasons. One, because we get peace of mind, and two, because it's best for you. We're there to try and help you. We're there to help your matter. So if it's best for you to have an hourly rate thing, we'll do an hourly rate thing. If you want one and we can give you a fixed fee, we will. I'll give you some examples of fixed fees. But landlords and tenants, I'm always banging on about this week in, week out. I can take proceedings and get your property back. And there's a fixed fee of that, £650 plus VAT plus the court fee. And that's no matter how long your matter takes. So if I get it done fairly quickly, it's a bonus for me. If there's hiccups along the way, we have to go to court more than once and so on, then that's a detriment to me. But for you, it's good, because you've got a fixed price, you know what you're going to pay, and you're going to get that job done for it. So fixed fees are really good. Aidan does a lot of fixed fees for his work, because his work lends itself more than mine does. So for example, a will, he knows what a will is going to cost, and he'll give you a fixed price for that. And LPA, Aidan, much the same. And in fact, quite a lot of your work, your clients will want a fixed fee for it. So Aidan will, obviously the fixed fee, working out in his mind how much work he's going to spend, but for you, you know how much that agreement is going to cost you, and that's good for you. So what is necessarily not so good for us, we're not interested in that. We're trying to do the best for you, believe it or not. And fees are really important. Our overheads are very low. I wouldn't say our fees are cheap, because that would be unfair, but our overheads are low, so we don't have to charge the £500 or £600 that the people in the city charge. They have to charge that because they've got a whole team of people dealing with it. They've got 4 or 5 mouths to feed on one case. They've got a partner, who's the supervisor, they've got a solicitor or associate, then they've got a paralegal, then they might have a trainee, and you're working your way down this chain of people. So these fees that are charged, these eye-watering fees, they're that expensive because they've got all these mouths to feed. They've got a whole team of people. They've usually got fancy schmancy offices. Mine are far from that. Come and have a look at them. The other thing about costs are, we are honest with our costs, and that might sound like a really odd thing to say, but if you worked in my industry, Melissa will know exactly what I'm talking about. Some solicitors are far from honest with their costs. So in other words, if they do £1,000 worth of work, miraculously on a cost schedule or a bill to you, it's become £2,500. I'll wrap that up and give you an example. I've got a personal injury case at the moment, nasty injury, I'm doing the work. My costs are going to end up about £30,000. That's for my fee, doctors, barristers. I've just had a cost schedule for my opponents, who, bear in mind, all they're doing is responding to my case. They've admitted it's their fault, they're just responding to it. £106,000. Okay, so that's an example of where solicitors' costs are dishonest. And when I look through the schedule, I see exactly what I've told you. Partner, 45 hours supervising the associate, blah, blah, blah. And they go through it and they're basically making up these fees. It's dishonest, it goes on all the time. We don't do that, we're not in that business. We are much more scaled down, obviously, but what we charge you is the time we spent working on your matter. At least I like to think that's legal services. Well, for a small firm, we actually do quite a wide range of legal services. But that's not to say that we'll take on a matter we can't do. And Aidan and I pride ourselves, if we've got a matter that you come to us on and we can't do it, it's not within our expertise, we will tell you, and some of you around the table might have had that thought, a bit odd, but I'd rather turn it away than take it on and fudge your case, give you bad advice, or a worst case scenario, negligence, get it wrong. It's not how we work. So the wide range of services that we do, well, the personal services, that's person to person. Obviously personal injury, you heard me talk about it today. I do a fair amount of personal injury work. It's a good work for me. I've been doing it for a long time, very experienced. So personal injury, and at the end of the day, to quote a phrase, it's a nice little earner. Personal injury work, if it's done properly, can earn us very good money. Other examples of personal work are employment. You've got an employment issue, not for the employer, you as an employee. And we do quite a lot of that between Aidan and I. Landlord and tenant on residential premises, you want your property back, I mentioned it, do a lot of that. And then Aidan does wills, probate, power of attorneys, all personal services, that is person to person. So quite a wide range really of services considering we're a small firm. The non-personal services, the business services, much the same. We do employment, so we act for employers, advising them on issues they've got. Employment contracts Aidan does. A lot of agreements, so if you want your terms of business or you're setting up a business, you want a share agreement or partnership agreement. So commercial leases as well. So the business services, again, a reasonably wide range considering we're only a small business. But more importantly than all of that, we know what we're doing, we have the experience, and we will tell you if it's not a matter for us. And then lastly, you'll be pleased to hear, finishing up, one of the most important things for me, and it's a real bugbear of mine, Paul DeLue will emphasise with this, empathise, sorry Paul. We pride ourselves on being able to speak to you in a language you understand. The legal business is fraught with language deliberately designed to bamboozle you. There's loads of Latin phrases in there, there's loads of terms that you're not meant to understand. I mean, for example, in personal injury we use the phrase quantum and damages. Why not just say the amount in your compensation, which is what it means? It's ridiculous. So Aidan and I both pride ourselves in being able to speak to you in a language you understand. After all, you're paying these exorbitant fees that I've just referred to, and you want to make sure you understand it. And I have clients come to me, I say, they've come to me from another solicitor. What did your previous solicitor say? And I generally had one client say, I've no idea. I sat with him for an hour and a half, he did a letter, I've sat with him for an hour and a half, I've read the letter, I don't know what his advice is. And that is just criminal, really. That really shouldn't happen. So we pride ourselves on being able to speak to you in a language you understand. So there you are, there's 5 good reasons, there's probably loads more, but for me they're the most important ones. 5 good reasons why you can go out and recommend TM Law over and above the hundreds of other solicitors there are out there, and hopefully that will give you some ammunition to do that. Got that? No more questions? No questions?
So these chappies putting in a bill for 106,000, which was clearly
Plus VAT.
Oh my lord. So would there be any recourse to report them to an ombudsman or anything like that?
If they actually got to get that money, yes. So say we lost the case, because this is their cost. If we lost the case and they put that bill in, then yeah, obviously there's a challenge in the court process.
Yes.
But you might go to the legal services office, or you might go somewhere and say this is it's dishonest. It is. No two ways to go.
The 650 plus VAT for a fixed fee, does that include recovery of arrears?
No. Yes and no. If your claim is based on possession based on arrears, then yes, that's a Section 8 claim. If your claim is a no fault claim, Section 21, then no.
That'd be Section 8.
That's a difference, yeah.
About 4,500.
But if it's Section 8, then yeah, it's included. You get a court order for possession, you get a court order for the arrears. And then we go in and we do that to get your money back.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Mike.
It's not a question, it's just an example of what you were saying about some solicitors.
I can't hear you.
Shut up. Some solicitors charge far too much. When my dad was still alive, which he hasn't been for 20 years, but before he died, he wanted me to have power of attorney. And he lived in Frington. So we went to this solicitor in Frington who thought he was very much better than he was. And he sorted out the power of attorney. And when he died, I can't remember how much he charged for that, but I said, can I have a certified copy of it? Because I've got to send it off to various companies. And when he did the copy, his secretary was off that day, and he couldn't, and the power of attorney was 8 pages double-sided. He couldn't work out how to photocopy double-sided. So he gave me 16 pages of single-sided and charged me £10 per page.
Oh, that sounds very reasonable, John.
Power of attorney, right?
Don't ask me, ask him.
One of our friends has just had a legal power of attorney, but their father is blind, and it was only witnessed by 2 independent people, and obviously he can't read the documentation. Would that comply? Because I thought you needed the solicitor.
There's a form of wording that you should use when somebody who is blind effectively puts their mark. Beside where the signature is, normally you say signed by so-and-so in the presence of. The wording is different. You add on that this was read to me and I understood. There's a form of words that you are actually signing to. So that should, if there was somebody blind, that should be on there.
So that needs a solicitor there.
No, it doesn't need a solicitor there, but it does need to be done in a way that clarifies. I mean, I think
I did try getting them to come to you, but they knew better.
Last one, got time for one more, Stuart?
Yeah.
In the event of a personal injury claim, what happens if that injury should occur overseas? And say, for instance, someone I was on holiday with in Las Vegas that I had an injury. What did you do? I'm going to read up on this. I mean, is that something that you still look after? Or is it
I wouldn't do it. I can, but I wouldn't, because they're so fraught with. There's so many traps, pitfalls, like time limits, for example, are different. The law, there's so many things. If it's a package holiday, then it's governed by the package holiday regulations, which our mates in Europe put in. So that's much easier, as it's governed by those regulations, which means it's governed by our law. So that's easier, but there's still pitfalls, and their time limits are much less and so on and so forth. So I generally don't do it for that reason.
In this particular case, there was potentially the hotel. So would that change through travel agents?
So basically come back on the package, like the people who created the package.
Yeah.
They're the people you go after. So you don't have to worry about an individual hotel or a particular person. So that makes it easy. It's still
Last one.
Hi. This may just be me being thick, more miserable than usual maybe, but I can't work this out. If somebody steals your identity, goes to John Lewis, orders £20,000 worth of furniture, which has then got to be ordered and made and delivered, how do they expect to get away with it? Because if they've given a delivery address, they're traceable.
Don't do criminal law, because it's all them bloody criminals that hate them.
I just can't work out how they expect to get away with it.
Can't help it.
The effort there is to that.
Right, that is the lot. Terry, thank you very much. Right, referral to testimonials round. Start with the naughty corner and work round, please.
Yeah, well done, Terry. Always very, very good and very helpful for our business and clients. So thank you for that. Well done to Ken as well. Great guest slot, thank you. And actually, I thought today's 60 seconds was probably the best round we've had all year. They're all very informative, so that's good. As well for Jones, who's done well. I've got to thank you to the Moneys.
From Checker, well, of course, actually, it's mentioned around it. Terry, you've helped us out many times, State has as well. I've got a little meeting with Scott lined up later today. He's going to show me his Wizzy email signatures, which I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, a good meeting, everyone. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Good meeting. Education's lots talking about setting goals. Thank you to everyone that voted for Cameron. He missed by 3%. So, but I've said he's got to score a better one next month. I've got thank you the money for Neil. Obviously, he's not here today. Got a couple of one-to-ones lined up, and you know who you are. Other than that, I will see you next week.
Yeah, another thank you. It's been very thoughtful, Ed Slot. Terry, I always love your 10 minutes. I have personally benefited from your expertise, so but it was really interesting. Scott, thanks for the referral for the doctor's surgery. John, thank you for the referral to the pointer for Mason Edwards for office cleaning. And Nick, thank you for the roof advice, even if it was not the advice I wanted to hear. Thank you anyway. See you next week.
Yeah, great meeting. One thing I'd like to say about spam emails, we get spam emails from DHL all the time. And we use DHL, but we get spam ones that the invoice attached to the virus. So we don't open any DHL invoice, wait for the complaint to pay. So anyway, you can do it. I've got a referral for Scott, and I'd like to bring a visitor along who does fragrances and that. So I'll talk to people and sort that out.
Great 10 minutes, and Terry, in the past you've helped us with a few issues. I actually have two for Aidan. One is an HR inquiry that I'll just talk to you about, and then we need to get our wills reviewed. Yeah, I was there sitting with Scott thinking, shit, I'm not even sure what's on my will. I'm actually thinking, maybe I want to change how I want to die, but anyway. Mike. That's right. Mike, just to take over our Office 365 accounts. Lovely meeting.
Great meetings, as always, brilliant. I'm a committee member of UW myself. Terry, your 10 minutes was brilliant, very crisply delivered, not a single That's great.
Didn't have time for any
No, you got it all in very quickly. I do have a referral. Scott, you'll get it next week, but I'll do it to be for Scott. Thank you. See you next week.
Excellent meeting as always. Fantastic. 10 minutes and next slot. I've got a one-to-one with Tina. I want to set up this morning. I did have a question, but I'll put that question to you on email. Fantastic, and we'll see you soon.
Well, a very good education, Scott, and fantastic Terry. Unfortunately, you never had to use you yet, but I'm sure the day will come and you'll be the first port of call. Got a referral to Scott. Want to go in again? We've got a one-to-one with Ben in about an hour's time because come socialise with you. We'll get Ben's home. And we've got a referral to James Humphreys for some tree insurance from Joe Wood.
Great, it's Scott then. Well done on the Oscar Limelight and fantastic 10 minutes territory. Had a lovely one-to-one with Jane on Monday. Really enjoyable couple of hours. Great scones and really great to slip. I've never ever said this to somebody before. It was great to slip your tea. Had a one-to-one with Toby last Thursday, catching up with the list as well. Thank you for the money to Tina, and also thank you, Leanne, for the money for the advert in the school Christmas Bazaar brochure. Space is still available for anyone who wants. Very reasonable rates, good circulation figures. Terry rang me last week, he's had a spot as well. So brilliantly to everyone, thanks so much.
Really excellent meeting, another brilliant 10 minutes from Terry. Used you 7 times now, absolutely faultless and wins on everything, so cheers for that. Mike, that's the referral for Canaan for Essex Private Doctors, he was very pleased with you. Matt, that is the referral for the funeral directors. Must be a thing about Matt's coming out with sexier stories this week, because it's you and Matt Hancock announcing his dyslexia campaign.
I don't really want to be.
And some take-home monies in ex-member David P for £50,000 for an old truck.
Well done, Terry. That's for Jane. Thank you for your.
Good thing you can fit by it, isn't it?
During the week, we had the lights went out, and I found out John Freeman talked me through it. I got them all back on, but with his help. Yes, and then I had to find a new kettle. But there we go. James, can we have a quick word afterwards about your new unit that deals with private medical stuff, please? Other than that, thank you all for turning up. It's not raining at the moment, so fingers crossed.
Back to minutes. I've written down a list of five reasons to recommend seeing Law. So no minutes. I mean, it's always into these. Thank you very, very much. I've got a referral there for Aidan. I know. Done a deal helping out my brother with some employment. We've already spoken to him yesterday. That's already sorted. We've got a visitor coming along next week, Nick Guy from Dojo Card Payments as well. So, yeah, great meeting. See you next week.
Yes, it's been a very good meeting today. Excellent Ed slot, excellent 10 minutes, lots of good 60 seconds, perfect bell ringing. But I got up far too early this morning, so I'm very, very tired and getting grumpy now, so I'm going to go home. And I've changed the time that my alarm goes off on Thursday mornings, so when you get here next week, don't sit in my seat. Right?
What is it? 9 a.m.
Had an excellent one-to-one with Jan last week. Didn't had a one-to-one with this lady. Hello. Sorry to disturb your conversation. Excellent one-to-one with Jan last week. If you haven't had a one-to-one already, please do, because she's a very interesting lady. Thank you very much. And thank you, Manny, for an excellent member of the team. Still continues to do well.
Great meeting as always. Great stop, really informative, and great 10 minutes. We had a one-to-one not long ago.
Yeah,
I've got
that's
more
what I've
about
got to
it. Yes. I had a great one-to-one with Jane. Needed a bit of advice, and luckily we live near each other, so I didn't have any trouble there. And I've got a referral for Scott, and that I've mentioned it to Scott, but I've got a website that needs a major revamp. Not mine, that's clients, but yeah, possibly a new logo. Yeah. I've written it down right.
No, just put extern and you get 1 point.
Oh, okay. I'm still trying to figure out all the paperwork. See you next week.
No one knows.
No.
Just leave it. Yeah, another interesting meeting. Thank you both of you for your talks and the Ed Slot. As Terry said, I had a one-to-one with him last week. And I had a referral from Mike this week. My PC wasn't working, or it wasn't going fast enough for me, so I had to shout help, and he sorted it out for me. So that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, a really fantastic meeting. Enjoyed it a lot. Terry, great 10 minutes is always very informative, very professional. Ben, great Ed Slot, all very close to my heart, especially the blocking out chunks of his diary. For 18 months, I just blocked out the afternoons. He didn't work afternoons. It was great fun. I have got for Paul DeLue a one-to-one that we have. Thank you.
Did you sniff your teeth?
No.
I offered. For Paul DeLue, I've never done a slip for the copy editing. It's, looking at these things, I don't really much notice of it, but it says here, is this client hot? So I put yes, fine. And dream customer, so I'll five for that as well, why not? And another week, another duck, so I've got a thank you for the duck to John. What else have I got?
Bizarre.
Scott, I've got a new client who's got a crappy Gmail email address, so I'm going to put in touch with you. And I've got another bit to say at the end, but it's any other business.
Really good Slot, really good 10 minutes. Fascinating with all types of work that you doing. I support you. Some of them thinking, oh my God. I've got a new pair of trainers, so ready to go here. Thank you very much, Terry, and Paul DeLue for helping me do a brief for an award. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Very good. So, yes, one-to-one with Hannah, one-to-one with Paul, who sniffed my tea, and Leanne. I can never remember if I put in for it last week or not. We met last Thursday, so I'm putting in, and who knows. Thank you very much. That's those ones. Paul Booth for Short-Haired Penguins. Thank you. John Freeman for hampers. That's what he called in for. Hampers that he'd ordered, and they were in my car. Aidan for Short-Haired Penguins. Ben for chocolate brownie. Thank you, darling. And Mike Skinner, the YouTube chap, Toby Gallion. And then I've made it a goal to thank Ben for his introduction for us today. It's a very good advice about goal setting. Terry, loved your 10 minutes. No, it wasn't very crop-filled, but it was to the point and thought provoking. And then Matt, you mentioned Comet Sands and how it is good for people like that. Well, I'm just mentioning, recently I bought a mascara that is specifically for people with Tourette's.
Like it.
And it sets instantly, and that helps their situation. So it's interesting what's going on out there. Thank you.
Right. Excellent. Right. Terry, you've sat down.
Oh, Terry.
But you have to do the draw for the.
Is. Then, please. That one. That one? Just one all day long. That one there. And the winner there is Jane.
You don't drink.
But my husband might not. Thank you. That was really good. Thank you, darling.
Thanks very much, Terry, for doing the running, doing the draw, and doing the 10 minutes. Right, we are now on the cusp of the end of the meeting. The severe weather warning hasn't materialised yet. I might be sending you out in a bit of drizzle, but before I do, has anybody got anything they want to say? Toby?
Something that might interest some people for one reason or another. I met with the organisers of Ride London / Ride Essex, the cycle race that's been complained about this year. And the date for next year is confirmed now as 28th of May, Sunday 28th of May. So if you're interested in getting involved, I've got the direct contact details of the guy in charge of that. The route is pretty much the same as last year. I know some people wanted it changed. If you'd like to know why the route has to be the route it is and can't really be changed, come and chat with me because I'm very interested to find out myself.
Ben. Just want to put out there, if anybody would like to, we've had a couple of people drop off the education speaker list. If anybody would like to go onto the EdSpot speaker list, then please do give me a shout. So we can get you on there and get you given the education results. Oh, is that right? You can get you on there.
Speaking of events, we as a business do a lot with Snap Charity. We are organising a triathlon on the first Sunday in March, so it's early morning. But it would be really cool to get an EBF team in. But it's a triathlon with a difference. It's going to be quite fun. There'll be a little bit of fancy dress, there'll be tasks, there'll be games involved in it. So it's not like a full triathlon, but basically it's kind of swimming lengths and retrieving things in Brentwood swimming pool, then cycling around Brentwood, getting to the Snap Centre, doing a little run, and there'll be teams from different businesses and different organisations, so it's also probably quite a really good chance to kind of network. But I think there could be an EBF team in there as well, and I think that'd be really fun.
What's the date there?
It's the first Sunday in March, so whatever that is, the second.
Time to get in training.
I know, I'll be over by Oxford in January, so I'll be back on it.
I'm pleased to hear that the water is moving forward in March. Nick?
Big thank you to Jane for my British Geological Survey greeting card.
That is awesome.
It may be dull to some people, to me it's absolutely fascinating. It's generated a lot of interest.
Can I add one last fact in?
Go on then.
Oh, all right then. I mentioned it earlier. Now I'm a member of Visit Essex. I know these things. Essex has the longest coastline of any county in England, more than Cornwall. So anytime there's a quiz, pub quiz, you can get that in. If you include the Essex Islands, we beat Cornwall. I thank you.
Paul?
Just a final reminder, EBF Christmas dinner, 13th of December, Meshkins. A lot of you already paid the money, which is fine, so you're all on the list and going, but if there are any final people who haven't paid yet, they want to come along, just make a payment as per the emails on the room as you want to do.
Sorry, I completely forgot the most important thing about Ride Essex. What I wanted to mention is that anybody can apply for money that's being raised, that they're paying to Essex Council for grassroots sport. If you want the link to, your Cubs need more goal nets or whatever, anything like that, grassroots sports, they're really encouraging people to apply this year. So if you want the link for that, just let me know.
Yes, please.
And more ads. The pub name. Right, is there anybody else wants to say anything? No, you've done very well today. You stretched the meeting out. However, it is almost exactly what I'm saying. So I wish you well, and I'll see you all next week.